Hundreds of ballistic missiles were launched from Iran towards Israel tonight, marking the start of Tehran's response to intensive Israeli strikes, which began overnight. Iran has called Israel's attacks a declaration of war. Israel said it had struck nuclear and military targets across Iran to block Tehran from developing atomic weapons. US President Donald Trump has urged Iran to make a deal on its nuclear program, warning of even more brutal Israeli attacks.
Threatened all day, delivered tonight. A barrage of missiles fired from Iran towards Israel, with explosions over Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, as some rockets breached Israel's Iron Dome security shield.
Israel has the capability to defend itself.
With initial reports of the incoming missiles interrupting a press briefing by Israel's defence forces. Iran's Revolutionary Guards said tonight's strikes against dozens of targets in Israel were revenge for Israel's biggest ever attack on Iran overnight and throughout the day, which targeted nuclear facilities and military command centres, with senior Iranian figures killed, including the armed forces chief and several top nuclear scientists.
The tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons. In recent months, Iran has taken steps that it has never taken before, steps to weaponize this enriched uranium. And if not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year.
As Iran's president, Masoud Pezeshkian, said his country would issue a severe response to what he called Israel's foolish action, Israelis braced for retaliation, with the streets of Jerusalem and Tel Aviv empty earlier, and Israeli hospitals relocating wards to safer underground areas, as residents stocked up on goods in anticipation of being evacuated to bomb shelters. Regional governments, as well as international leaders, have called for restraint, though events tonight in Israel suggest little chance of de-escalation, with the Israeli government vowing to continue its operation as long as necessary. And US President Donald Trump, a key ally of Israel, earlier saying that there's a lot more to come. Fiona Mitchell, RTE News.
Well, let's go now to our Washington correspondent, Sean Whelan, who's standing by for us. Sean, Israel says its military operation against Iran will continue until its nuclear threat is eliminated. So what's been said about this in the US?
Well, you've got a mixed bag of opinions being expressed up in Congress. You've got speakers on both sides. Mostly Democrats are concerned about regional escalation of it. Mostly Republicans think good on Israel. This should have been done a long time ago. But there's also, though, division within the broader Republican voting camp. A lot of the MAGA voters saying today, and some of their cheerleaders like Tucker Carlson, the journalist, that this is not what people voted for. They wanted to stay out of wars. That's what President Trump had promised them, and they're very concerned about this. Others, the old neocon branch of the Republican Party, saying, great, about time this happened. John Bolton, who had served as a national security advisor to Donald Trump in his first administration, said that this has been going on, talks with the Iranians have been going on for 20 years, that to continue with it now, he said, would be simply a waste of oxygen, that he was encouraging the Americans themselves to get directly involved in the bombing. So very divergent opinions here in the United States. We have still to hear directly from President Trump himself. He was reported earlier to be in a meeting with his national security advisors team, but that meeting has gone on for a very long time, perhaps indicative of the very serious nature of what is unfolding now in the Middle East.
Briefly, Sean, talks had been scheduled between the US and Iran in Oman on Sunday. Where do these stand now, given the events of the last 24 hours?
We don't know is the short answer. A lot of people thought, how can talks possibly take place given what's happened today, even up to a few moments ago, of what has been happening in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Steve Witkoff, the president's envoy, is supposed to go to Oman on Saturday for these talks on Sunday. We're not sure if that's going to go ahead. President Trump, in his social media posts earlier, said he hoped that the talks would go on and that the Iranians would sign a deal, one that stops them developing nuclear weapons and the capacity to develop them. But we just don't know whether that's going to go ahead.
Sean Whelan, thank you.